Welcome to Giant Cocktails, a podcast where two lifelong fans talk about the San Francisco Giants while drinking homemade cocktails. Now, here are your hosts, Ben and Matthew Henry.
Welcome back to another episode of Giant Cocktails. I am your temporary guest host, Ken Alexander, alongside my spiritual brother, my brother from another mother, Matthew Henry. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. What did he put in the show notes here? Oh, right. The thunderclap, Matthew Henry. How you doing, Matthew?
I'm doing good, Ken.
That's right, Ken.
Ken. It's now you got this sultry voice, so you've taken on this alter ego. Is that what's going on?
No, it's just me, Ben. It's just me, Ben. But this is my voice now. This is my voice now. We'll see what it's like on Wednesday. But this is now the third show in a row, Matthew, where I am ill. I am feeling much better, but I sound even worse. Although some people might say I sound better. I don't know. Whatever it is, this is my voice right now. And yes, you are Thunderclap. You are Thunderclap Matthew Henry today because Thunderclap is like out of nowhere. A surprise at the last moment. Not always a good surprise.
Is it though? Is it out of nowhere? It's usually after the lightning strike, isn't it?
Well, I mean, when you're talking a literal thunderclap, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
okay.
but there's other kinds of thunderclaps where no, there's nothing preceding it. Like you can have a thunderclap headache. And by the way, folks, if you have a thunderclap headache, you should seek medical attention immediately. And I don't mean like tomorrow. I don't mean like next week. I mean immediately. Have somebody else drive you to the urgent care or the ER and tell them what happened. And then they're going to scan your brain because you might be dying. But anyway, a thunderclap means from out of nowhere, and it doesn't always mean a good thing, hence the MRIs.
And hence the last inning of each of the Giants' last, 5-6 games?
That is correct. That is correct. And on two of those games, they were not good for the Giants, right? The bookend games of the road trip.
Yeah.
First game against the Pirates and the last game against the Mets. Not good thunderclaps. But there were three good thunderclaps in between that. It's like I wanted to call them the comeback kids, but that's not quite right, is it? Because they didn't come back. They gave up leads twice. Big leads.
I got me thinking today, though. On a 3-game series, the psychology of when the wins happen, kind of take a toll, right? I mean, if they had split the first two and then come back and win today, then you're getting into the new series on a roll, and you're like, yeah, we took 2 out of 3. This is awesome. And instead, we're like, oh, we could have swept, and instead we gave up, blew a lead, and now we're going to face the Phillies.
Yeah.
That just feels different. It feels different. I was looking forward to what we were going to talk about on our pod tonight with the sweep, and then it didn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, you're always looking forward to us talking about the sweep on the podcast, so.
Well, in my defense, it only happens once every 2 or 3 years. So.
Well, I mean, yeah, but yet your hope springs eternal for old Matthew.
It does.
Although that's not true. That's not true. I mean, usually it does, but there was some earlier points in this season where you were pretty down.
Yeah.
You were pretty down. And I think that's what we got to say. I hear you. It can be a major letdown when you drop that last game. But, the thing is that, you got to look at it. You got to look at the big picture, Matthew. You got to look at the big picture. They were 4-2 on the road trip. And, and they were playing some exciting baseball. None of those games were boring. Except maybe that 7-2 win. They had a 7-2 win in there, right?
Did they really? I don't even remember.
I don't remember either. Anyway, today is Sunday, May 26th, as we record this podcast. Your San Francisco Giants went 4-2 this past week, as we just recounted, to bring their season record to 27-27 after they won both series against the Pirates, and then the Mets. To bring them to, Acuna has torn ACL, will miss rest of season.
Wow. Sucks for him.
Bummer. Yeah. But this is not a Braves podcast, but I am on the MLB website, so I saw that little headline.
Go listen to Locked On Braves tomorrow and see what they're saying.
Yeah. Ooh, that is interesting. Okay, side note, I love doing that. I wouldn't love it in this case. Would not love it in this case. But it's still interesting. But I love going to listen to the Locked On Sports podcast the day after something bad happens to another team that is the fault of a San Francisco Bay Area team. So sweet. So sweet. Anyway, that's because I'm a horrible person. Anyway, your San Francisco Giants are in second place.
No.
Tied with the San Diego Padres in the NL West.
Are you sure?
Yes. I can't believe it either. Matthew, they're only 5.5 games behind the Dodgers.
Wow.
Did you know, Matthew, that they were 9.5 games behind the Dodgers?
I did.
5 games ago?
I just kind of assumed we still were, to be honest.
5 games ago, they were almost double digits.
I don't look that far up on the standings things.
The Dodgers have lost 3 in a row, which means somebody swept them.
Wow.
Who swept the Dodgers?
They've actually lost 5 in a row.
That's what I meant, if I didn't say that. Yeah, crazy, right? I mean, you kind of just don't pay attention to the Dodgers. You just assume they're continuing to run away with it. But then you just open it up and you find this happy little surprise. Look at that. They've lost 5 in a row, which means the Giants are tied with the San Diego Padres. They played 2 games less than the Padres. The Padres are 28-28. But the Giants are easily the hottest team in the West. And now stand tied with the Padres in second place. A good game and a half ahead of the Arizona D-Bags. I will say this. I will point out that the Giants' run differential is significantly lower than those of the Padres and the D-Bags. But I'll remind you all that the Diamondbacks with their +3, they're getting 16 of those runs from that 17-1 drubbing against Blake Snell. And 17 of those -19 runs that the Giants were given up by Blake Snell. Okay, not all 17 of them, but that's how it feels. That's how it feels. I blame him for all 17. Sorry, 16. Anyway, and in the wild card, Matthew, things get even more exciting. They are also tied for the last wild card spot.
I'll take it.
So they're in a playoff position. I think they would lose the tiebreaker to the Padres right now, but we don't have to worry about that yet. But we will have to worry about it in 2/3 of a season, Matthew, because today the Giants have played 54 baseball games. That's what happens when you add 27 and 27 together. You get 54.
Yep.
Do you know what 162 divided by 54 is, Matthew?
162 divided by 54 is, I'm going to say 3?
3. Exactly. Perfectly. 3. That's right. You're a genius.
I'm only because you said we're going to talk about the third, or we're a third of the way into this.
We're a third of the way because I gave it away. It away. Yeah. It's like whenever I say Rickard Fanita and the answer is actually Rickard Fanita. One of these days you're going to do that. One of these days. Or Tsuyoshi Shinjo. Anyway, point is we're going to be talking. It's time for another month in review. We've got another month of baseball to review, and this time we're gonna go over some of the other awards that we gave about a month ago. And then rehash those. So today we'll be giving out the MVP award. Matthew and I will each have one. So maybe 2 MVPs because we often disagree. And then we're going to have the Unsung Heroes awards. And then we have the award that we didn't know what to call it. And so we called it Disappointments, even though that felt wrong. So we have a new name for that because we have a new award this week. So the new award is Most Improved. And then we have the nominees for Most Improved Next Month award. And that used to be called the Disappointments Award. So we'll be talking about that later in the show. And then after that, we're going to be talking about some roster talk because these kids, Matthew, these kids. Have you heard about this guy, Elliot Ramos?
I've heard of him. Yes.
Yes. Have you heard about this kid, Luis Matos?
Yes, I've heard of him too.
And have you heard about this other kid, Marco Luciano?
He rings a bell. Yes.
Yeah. Well, it turns out 2.5 of these kids are very good at playing baseball. 1.5 of these kids is very good at hitting the ball. So it brings up all kinds of roster questions because some of these older dudes that are hurt, like Nick Ahmed, Slater, Conforto, they're gonna get healthy eventually. And then what happens? Because I thought maybe the kids would all start to suck, or at least 1 or 2 of them would. None of them are sucking. Again, we're just talking offense here. So we're going to talk about that at the end of the show. But before we get all of that done, or before we get to all of that, Matthew, you need to ask us our trivia question because it looks like you have a bone to pick.
I don't know if it's a bone to pick. It's just a little something that kind of irks me about the Giants bullpen and how we just rely on Tyler Rogers for these really important high leverage innings, particularly when Camilo Doval isn't available. And I get that he's been a really effective pitcher. He's been really good over his Giants career, but I would prefer someone in a 9th inning save situation is someone that can blow balls past a hitter and not give up little dink hits that lead to these catastrophe type innings. And, Tyler Rogers, his skill is to get you to hit weak ground balls. And sometimes weak ground balls just find spots to die and they become base hits. And that's what happened today. And so my question for you, Ben, is how many walk-off hits has Tyler Rogers allowed in his Giants career?
Okay.
And it feels like 50, but I promise you it's less than that.
Right. I'm going to say it doesn't matter because he's an extremely valuable piece of the team. And this just feels like a hatchet job, you big complainer. Is that an answer?
It is. I fully admit I was sitting down to do the show notes right after Tyler Rogers blew the 9th inning today, and so I was a little salty, I'll admit. So that's where this trivia question comes from, because I have to come up with a question each week, and so a lot of times I try to make it relevant, or I try to make it interesting, and this one was I wonder how many, and so that's where it came from.
Okay, well, I guess we'll find out at the end of the show whether it's 50 or it's irrelevant.
All right.
Isn't it time for the booze, boys?
Yes, Bob, it is time for the booze.
What are you drinking, Matthew?
So, Bob, I am drinking a cocktail today that I made that I'm calling a late bloomer. I'm not really sure why I called it that, to be honest. I was trying to figure out a name, and it made sense at the time. I think it was now it's coming back to me. It was in reference to the Giants coming back game after game. And so that's where this came from. What's in a late bloomer? It's got 2 ounces of gin. I am using Young and Yonder's 100 proof gin, which is really good, by the way. But you could use just a floral gin would be nice, even a London Dry. A 1/2 ounce of Elderflower Liqueur. 3/4 ounces of strawberry syrup, 1 ounce lemon juice, 3 dashes of Peychaud's bitters, and a 1/4 teaspoon of absinthe that you're going to use to rinse the inside of your coupe glass. So you're going to prepare your chilled coupe glass by rinsing the inside with the absinthe, or if you've got it in a little spray bottle, which is the way I do it, you spray the inside of the glass until it's fully coated. And then you add all the other ingredients into a cocktail shaker with ice. Give it a good shake for a good 12 to 15 seconds. You want some dilution in there. You want it well chilled. And you're going to double strain that into your prepared coupe glass. And there's no garnish. You're just going to enjoy the aroma of the absinthe as you sip on your strawberry elderflower gin sour. So that's what I'm drinking today, Ben. The late bloomer.
That's a tasty cocktail.
It's pretty good, actually. It's really nice, and I really like the absinthe notes as you're taking a sip. So,
what are you drinking, Ben?
Well, Bob, I was hoping to have a real cocktail, but you can hear my voice. I'm having Hot Toddy number 3 today. Spilled part of it on my leg earlier before we started recording, and that really hurt. But anyway, what did I spill on my leg? Well, it has 2 ounces of ginger liqueur, 2 teaspoons of honey, and then 6 ounces of lemon herbal infusion, aka herbal tea. And I threw a cinnamon stick in there too. So to make it, you put the ginger liqueur and honey in a mug, and then you pour over that your herbal infusion and add your cinnamon stick, and there you go. That's your Hot Toddy number 3. And this one is my favorite of the 3 because it is very soothing. And I think that's because it's a lot sweeter. Probably because of the ginger liqueur. So this is definitely a low ABV Hot Toddy, but right now I'm really not going for the alcohol as much as I'm going for the soothing warmth. And that's what I'm drinking today, Bob. Hot Toddy number 3.
That's a tasty cocktail.
It is very good, actually.
It does sound good. I'm glad I don't have to drink it, though.
Yeah.
All right, so you've had 3 hot toddies.
Yeah.
We are now 1/3 into the month.
That's right.
So it is time, as you said earlier, for our month in review.
Month in review. Month in review.
We don't have any songs or music for
month in review.
We should get on that, though. That sounds like
it's
this is going to be a
thing.
thing. We should make a theme song for sure.
Yeah, it's time for Giant Cocktails Month in Review.
All right, Ben, for the last month, the Giants, in case you need a reminder, are, for the month of May, they were 13-10 this month.
They were.
So that gives them, actually, they may have been 14-10 because I don't know. I think Baseball Reference has done today's game yet. So 14-10. And so that's a pretty good month. You know, if you were to stack those months on top of each other, boy, you'd have a really good year.
You would have an excellent year for sure. And
so that means there's probably been some really good playing going on. So our first question, who is the MVP of May?
Okay. Am I going first?
Yeah. And folks, Ben said we don't need to take notes. We'll just wing it. We'll just go, we'll just talk. So this is what you're getting.
Well, here's what I'm worried. I'm worried that you're going to choose the wrong person, Matthew. And so then like, because I know who you're supposed to pick. I can see it right here. I know who the MVP is, but I feel like, Matthew's going to pick that guy.
No, you go first. You pick your guy.
I pick my guy. This is like, oh my God, this is what the rap is like.
Oh, that's right.
After exactly. You got to pick your guy, and then you don't. Okay, fine. I get to go first, so I get to pick. I guess I got to take the obvious guy then. But I really want to say, I'm going to go with the guy I wanted. I'm going to go with my original. Luis Matos is my MVP for month 2.
Okay, he had a really good week there, and that is. There's no shame in Luis Matos, who's hitting 278 for the month.
Right. And I would say it's a good 2 weeks. I mean, he had one really good week, but he's extended that out. He hasn't been like lights out or anything like that. But I'm actually going for more for like the energy that he brought and how he lengthened the lineup. He added one extra guy in the lineup who was at least somewhat concerning to a major league pitcher.
Absolutely, exactly.
And so he's had 2 weeks, but they were such an important 2 weeks, and I don't want to minimize his impact. So I'm going with Luis Matos as my MVP.
Okay. There are a lot of candidates because this was a good month, and so this is a hard choice. I think I'm going to go with Brett Wisely. Just kidding. I'm not going with Brett Wisely. I just wanted to see your reaction.
I almost choked on my Hot Toddy, number 3.
He's only played in 8 games this month, so I don't know if technically he's eligible for Player of the Month. Player
Definitely
for the Week,
not.
Maybe. Yeah, 438 average over the last 8 games.
Mr. Zero is not eligible for MVP.
Okay. All right. So I will pick another, and I am going to issue a mea culpa with this pick. Okay, because last month I think I labeled this guy. I didn't want to call him a disappointment. That was your word. My word was had some concerning issues.
Concerning issues, right? Yeah.
Yes, and those issues have been abated by Mr. Matt Chapman, and Matt Chapman has basically put this team on his back, and has both offensively and defensively. And really has shown why we should have been excited about his signing from the very beginning. I gotta admit, even though he was an Oakland A and there was right across the bay, I don't watch the Oakland A's, so I don't know if I ever really appreciated how good he is defensively. I saw the highlights on social media and stuff, so I saw some of that, but on a day-to-day basis, when you watch this man, it's like every day there's something that makes you go, wow. And that's just the defense. And on the offense now, he's finally found his groove. He had a home run robbed today. He would have had another one, but the Mets center fielder grabbed it back. He has been on fire, and so he is my MVP for the month.
Right. Good. I wasn't okay. Good, Matthew. Good, Matthew, for making the right choice with Matt Chapman. My goodness gracious. He's the obvious answer. And his defense, he had 2 walk-off defensive plays in this past road trip. I think he did. Because I think he threw out Joey to end, I think it was it to end the game? No, that wasn't to end the game. It was to end an inning. But anyway, point is, he has had some really spectacular plays recently, but he's been doing that all year.
Yeah, well, yeah. And now the offense is kind of catching up. And it's
But now all of you one-sided fans who don't care about defense and think baseball is only about hitting the ball far, suddenly you're all noticing the defense.
I'm going to give you an honorable mention.
Okay, I was going to ask you, actually, because I knew that if I had gone with Chapman, you were not going to pick Luis Matos. So who is your honorable mention?
I feel like it would be a disservice if we're talking about the entire month to not mention Thairo Estrada.
Interesting. Yeah.
Thairo Estrada actually is tied with Luis Matos for the most RBIs in the month with 18. Luis Matos had his in 3 games. Thairo had his over 27. Yep. But also leads the team in home runs in May with 5. And I feel like that's a luxury. And he plays, stellar defense at second. And so I just, he flies a little under the radar, I think, lately, especially with all these new kids. But a very solid offense. He seems to come up with some clutch hits, and the average and the on base not wonderful, but the counting numbers, are there, and I think that's important. So I'm going to mention Thairo as an honorable mention.
Well, so Fangraphs says that he's the second best defender on the team behind Patrick Bailey.
Wow.
His F-WAR for the month, for the last 30 days, was 0.7 behind Lamont Wade and Chapman. And offensively, he's also been, as you said, very, very good. But what's interesting about him is his batting average on balls in play, very, very low.
Oh.
Right? He's hitting 238 on his BABIP.
Wow, and his actual average is only 236. So, that's crazy.
So he's being hurt by some, not everything about BABIP it means that you should be hitting better, but it is a good indication that you might be getting a little bit unlucky. So I totally agree. And I think what has been most noteworthy about him is the quality of his defense throughout the entire season, because he really has carried through. I've also seen a lot of leadership elements from him as well. There was the, I can't remember which game it is. They all run together to me now, but he was out there when Camilo was having a rough time closing out the game.
I think it was the one with Chapman's game-ending,
That's
throw.
right. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, where Thairo was getting in his face a little bit. there, and I think more in a fire it up sort of way than a.
Yeah, I don't think it was negative. I think he was just trying to fire him up. But that seeing that fire on Tyro, so you hear about his leadership in the locker room. You don't really see it on the field as much, and that was one of those ones where you really saw it. So that was pretty cool.
Agreed. Good choice, Matthew. All right.
It's a good choice, but I feel like the next segment was Unsung Heroes, and maybe I should have just saved Tyro for that.
All right. Well, we'll just call Tyro your first unsung hero.
Okay. All right. Then what's your unsung hero?
Well, since we haven't said his name yet, but he's been such a rock on the offensive side. There was a period of time where it was just him. He was the only guy doing anything good, and that's Lamont Wade Jr.
Yeah.
And I think even when the Giants were struggling, just not losing sight of his approach at the plate. And he has just been so good. And the other thing is that his ability at first base, especially on these picks, has just been amazing. Usually Matt Chapman, when he makes a play, he throws a strike. You rarely see Chapman put a ball in the dirt.
Right.
Unlike, say, Nick Ahmed. But Chapman is usually throwing a strike. But when Chapman is trying to do something amazing, he doesn't always have the ability to do that, right? And Lamont Wade is digging all of those out and making Matt Chapman look like an absolute hero because he's making these really difficult plays. And so I think even his play defensively at first base has been a little unnoticed because they're clouded by the I don't know what the right term is, but they superseded by the play by Chapman just to precede it. So that has been really stellar as well. So that's my pick. Lamont Wade Jr. is my unsung hero.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I mean, just his personality in general, he seems to fly below the radar a little bit. But he could be, as we talked about before, he could be the Giants all-star.
That's right.
Be one of the, and what's interesting is he's right on the cusp for being an official qualifier of the league stats. And so yesterday, he led the National League in on-base percentage by 50 points over.
Right, because he made it in.
Yeah, but then today he took the day off.
Oh, and now he's
not on the list anymore. Right, so he's right there on the cusp. So he's going back and forth. Right. He leads the National League by quite a bit.
Okay. Give us another unsung hero, Matthew, because I think last time we did 4.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Jorge Soler.
Whoa!
Because I feel like he, last month we named him a disappointment, and still the power is not there as much as we would like. But he is starting to come around and get some key hits. At least he's not. It just seemed like before he was like an automatic out. It just seems like there was not a competitive at bat there. And
right
now he's getting hits at crucial times. They even this month they experimented by having him bat leadoff after Jung-Hoo Lee went down. I think as a little experiment to take some pressure off of him, and maybe that worked. So I like what Jorge Soler has done recently, and I'm hoping that he can build on that with some more power. Still only 2 home runs in May, so definitely would like to see that number come up a little bit. But he's gonna be one of my unsung heroes
for sure. All right. Ooh, let's see. I'm gonna go with my next unsung hero, and it's a tough choice for me. I'm going to go with Ryan Walker.
Okay. I was wondering if we're going to get some pitching in there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are a lot of good pitching candidates. Maybe we need a Cy Young Award in here.
Maybe
just to force us to do it. But I'm going to go with Ryan Walker just because I think he has become just an absolute, just devastating, deadly guy that you don't want to face in a key point in a game. Right? Like he just comes up and he has this ability to make guys look overmatched. Like they'd rather not be up there. And he has just become super reliable as well. Like this is not the Ryan Walker from last year, who was very good. This is something on another level. And maybe, Matthew, he should be the guy that is your quote unquote backup closer. But
I wouldn't argue. He's got he's got 19 strikeouts in 13 innings in the last month.
Right.
Only allowed 10 hits and 1 walk. No, 0 walks. I'm sorry, 0 walks for the month of May. His WHIP is 0.77 in May.
I hear that's good.
That's not bad. And so I would love to see him in that high leverage situation rather than Tyler Rogers.
Well, okay, but see, the problem is that he is often in high leverage situations.
That's true. That's true.
And I think
he's getting those crucial outs in the 7th or the 8th. Right. Yeah.
Right. And the Giants really need a stacked bullpen, right? Because when you look at everybody in their bullpen right now, with Jackson and Rodriguez and Walker, like and Taylor Rogers, like all of those guys are guys like they're early guys, right? And so that's kind of like the low leverage, not as elite roles. But the Giants need all of them, and they need all of them to be high leverage guys because our starters right now, they don't go deep. They don't go deep at all. And Logan Webb is really the only guy you can ever even think of as going into the 7th. And so it just seems like the Giants bullpen is so often having to pitch 4 innings or 5 innings a game that you need a guy like Ryan Walker earlier in the game. And so you got to use him early so he won't be available late. I guess if you're Melvin, you could just say he's my closer, so I'm going to use him in that closer way when Camilo's definitely not available. But then you lose him earlier in the game, so I don't know. But I don't know. Maybe that's just a flip you should be able to make because, he should be in the 9th when Rogers should be in his spots. I don't know. Anyway, that's not what this is about. This is about Ryan Walker, and that's my guy.
All right, I like it. Are we doing one more? Can I do one more?
Yeah, do one more. You can do one more.
Okay, because I'm going to stick with the pitching as well. And you mentioned him brief, but I feel like Randy Rodriguez.
That was the other guy I was thinking.
This was a guy that we were like questioning why he was on the 40-man like at the beginning of the season. Like, who is this guy? Like, we didn't even know who he was. And then we also, you look deeper, could not throw strikes. Like he was just, he was struggling with his command and had, was really, I think he was on the 40-man to protect him. But at the same time, there was some question whether he could do it. And he even struggled a little bit, I believe, in spring training, went to Sacramento, found the strike zone and hasn't lost it since. And just in the last month, he pitched 13 1/3 innings, allowed 10 hits, had 18 strikeouts to 4 walks, and his WHIP was 1.05. This is a guy now where I feel like, and he also lights up the gun, right? He's hitting high 90s on this fastball, and so if he can keep doing this, then what a find! This was not something that was on anybody's radar. I mean, I think at the beginning of the year we were talking about would they need to go out and trade for a guy like this, and now they've got him. I just, talk about unsung hero. I mean, he has been amazing, and I hope he keeps it up. And he's one of those guys that's going to make the bullpen decision or the roster decisions, which we're going to talk about later, really, really complicated because he has options. He's probably someone they weren't counting on being so good. And now what do you do? So, all of that put together makes him an unsung hero in my book.
Yeah, well, it was like we had those 2 spots in the bullpen and 1 spot in the rotation that just wasn't nailed down. And suddenly we have 2 of those spots have been now nailed down in the bullpen. And we have actually now the Giants are running with 9 relievers when they really should have 8. And they're running with 9 relievers and 4 starters right now, and that's not going to last.
Right.
So yeah. I mean, I agree. He's been a revelation. It looks like he was a Rule 5 draftee guy. That's why he's on the 40-man.
Yep.
And so they wanted to protect him. So they had to, and then once you're on the 40-man, you're kind of guaranteed to make it onto the 26-man at some point in Farhan Zaidi's world. And hey, sometimes that's all you need, right?
Yeah.
You just a shot, and he's taken a hold of it, and no, I totally agree. He's been amazing. All right, let's do our new award now.
Okay,
it's time for Most Improved. The nominees are Jorge Soler, Austin Slater, Blake Snell, and Matt Chapman, although that one was disputed at the time.
So just to be clear, because I think we might be a little confusing. So you're reading last month's disappointments, and we're renaming them nominees for most improved next month.
Yeah, well,
So rather than being a disappointment, they're nominees to be most improved for next month. So they have. Right. So we'll check back and see how they are.
Right. Yeah. So this is like, this is the new award. This is the new award, and it's based on the guys that we called disappointments last month. And so we pick a guy, and maybe we should only do one, right? Because like if we both pick one, then it's kind of obvious. I mean, well, maybe not. I don't know. Yeah, let's each pick one. That's more fun because it'll still be interesting to talk.
So we got to pick from those four that were from last month.
Yeah, you cannot be most improved unless you're those four. Oh, you look disappointed. Matthew.
I was ready to list off another list of disappointments. Okay.
Oh, no. We're going to do that after this. Matthew, okay. We're going to come back. Okay, let me explain how this is working, Matthew. Pretend this is the first time we're doing it. Okay? Pretend this is the first month. We need a most improved. But how can you have a most improved in the first month? That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
There's nobody's most improved because everybody's just starting out. So you don't have anybody this time. What we did is we announced the nominees for next month's Most Improved Award. And now we're giving out the award. Okay?
Okay.
And then we're going to do that again for next month.
Okay.
We're going to nominate guys right now. But first, we got to give out this award.
Okay. So this is the Most Improved Award.
This is the Most Improved Award.
Based on the nominees from last month who were our disappointments.
Yeah, you're getting it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yes,
it's good.
So our four are Matt Chapman, Jorge Soler, Blake Snell, and what was the fourth?
Austin Slater.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, I've already talked about my pick is, he went from your MVP, disappointment to MVP. Matt Chapman.
Right.
I mean,
right.
So in my mind, that's definitely the winner of the most.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, so then that leaves Austin Slater, Jorge Soler, and Blake Snell.
One of those is not like the other.
Well, one of them's been on the IL all month.
The other one's been on the IL for some of that month.
And then the paternity list. But he's also pitched some. And we all wish he hadn't. So the answer is Jorge Soler. Congratulations, Jorge. On your award.
All right. But now we have to do nominees for next month's Most Improved.
Right. Oh, you know what else we could also call this award, Matthew? The Try Not to Suck So Much award.
I like that.
Yeah.
Try not to suck so much, Jorge.
Try Not to Suck So Much award. Yeah. Okay. So now we're naming the nominees for next month's Most Improved Award, Matthew.
Okay. Well, I feel like it needs to be said. Can you have a two-time nominee?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Of course you
well, then I want to put Blake Snell back on the list, man.
Yes. Okay. Blake Snell's back on the list. I agree. And of course you can go on the list. Just like you can be a disappointment time and time again. Just ask our mother. She was talking about you, not me.
Oh, okay. I
yeah.
Otherwise, but all right.
Right. Yeah. No, you thought it was the other way around.
I
Yeah. Let's see here. Ooh, most disappointing.
This is a little bit harder this month because
it is harder this month. They had a good month and everybody did reasonably well. But you know what? I'm going to do a little bit of controversial. I'm going to put a controversial name on here. Kyle Harrison. I'm putting down Kyle Harrison because I want more, Kyle. I want, number one left-handed prospect in all of baseball, blah. I want number one young left-handed starting pitcher in all of baseball. right?
Okay.
That's the way it's supposed to work. It's time to step it up. It's time to start dominating. It's time to start talking about why does everybody call Logan Webb the ace of the team? You know, I don't want you to just keep your team in it and have good outings and blah, blah. I want dominant Kyle Harrison.
All right.
Kyle Harrison. Candidate for Most Improved Award for month 3 of the baseball season. Not in any way a disappointment.
All right.
Although
Kyle
not in any way a disappointment.
Okay. So my nominee for Most Improved for next month.
All right. Yeah.
And you might be shocked to hear this. This is going to be a little bit of a reach.
Yeah.
But it's Marco Luciano.
Oh,
because you were sitting here telling me how important defense is, Ben.
Yeah, no, we were going to get into this pretty soon. We were about to get into this.
The ball.
He can catch the ball, but sometimes he doesn't. Yeah.
And so today, for example, the game on Sunday, Sean Manaea, who's a left-hander, is starting. The lineup is stacked with right-handers until you get to the shortstop position at number 9. And it's Brett Wisely starting at shortstop.
Mr. Zero.
Because he can field the ball, and you've got ground ball pitcher Logan Webb out on the mound. And so clearly they were not comfortable having Luciano play shortstop today.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a problem. You want Luciano in the lineup against left-handers especially, but if he can't field the ball when you've got ground ball pitchers like Hicks and Webb on the mound, it creates a problem. And so we saw that.
Well, you're mixing up our two topics here. So do you want to just keep going into it and then we'll go finish the nominees?
No, I'm sorry. That's right. I am. But, I'll come back to those points later. But I just feel like that's my argument for him.
Okay, your argument is Marco Luciano for his defense. All right.
Yes.
Nominee accepted. Marco Luciano. All right, we need another nominee. Oh, wow. Am I going to be that guy? You know what? I am that guy. I'm that guy.
I don't know what you're talking about, but you are that guy.
I am that guy. Wilmer Flores.
Oh, you are that guy.
I said it. I said it. I said it.
Okay. So you're going Wilmer over Yaz, because I think those are the two.
Yeah, because I'm most disappointed by Wilmer.
Okay. Your expectations were higher.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. The team in home runs last year, was
yeah. I want to see more out of Wilmer. I mean,
fair. Okay. Maybe this nominee will push him to a positive month. Then.
Also, he's had a worse month than Yaz by a significant margin, dude. So, I'm not saying Yaz shouldn't be on the list, but I'm going a different angle this month, man. I'm going with more guys that have emotionally offended me. And I say that with love, gentlemen. Kyle, Wilmer, I'm sorry. I like you both, but
all right. Well, maybe this will be the push that Wilmer
that they
needs.
need. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. All right.
Speaking of
check
pushing,
back in next month to see who makes it to the most improved list from that group.
Right. Indeed. All right. Speaking of pushing, it's time to push some guys out of the baseball team and possibly baseball forever. It's time to DFA some people.
Or just option people.
Yeah, whatever. We're talking roster talk.
Okay. All right. Roster talk.
Let's jump right into it. Marco Luciano. It's shortstop. Yeah. Let's get into it.
Okay. Well, okay, Ben. So Nick Ahmed is probably still a couple weeks away. But as I mentioned, Marco Luciano struggling on the defense a little bit. And we know that Nick Ahmed is Gold Glove type, shortstop.
Yep.
So you can only choose two, Ben. Who are you choosing? Marco Luciano, Brett Wisely, or Nick Ahmed?
I hate you.
You see, we give Farhan crap for the job that he did, but then he's got to make decisions like this.
I hate you so much.
And let me layer some things in here, right? Because Marco Luciano batting like over 300 in his, so far.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
offensively doing very well. Brett Wisely, while you don't like him, has definitely played well since he's been brought up. Both
Prefer it when he's in the middle infield positions.
Okay, yeah, I get it. And then you've got Nick Ahmed, who not only is a great defensive player, but really struggling offensively. He's also out of options, right? So you would have to
DFA him. See, told you, yes. DFA.
Okay,
see? Told you.
But that adds a wrinkle, right? Because the other two, you don't lose a player.
Right.
You just put them down into the minors.
Right.
If you do something about Nick Ahmed, then you lose him, and then your depth is a problem, right? Because now you've lost some crucial depth at that position. So okay, Farhan Ben, should I say? What? Who are you picking?
I don't like this because there's one obvious answer, and I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it.
I'll say it.
I'm not saying it.
All right, I'll say it. Marco Luciano will be sent back to the minors to work on his defense.
That's how I could have said it. Nick Ahmed's going to be your everyday shortstop, and Marco Luciano is going to be sent back to AAA to work on his fielding. But here's the thing. When he goes back to work on his fielding, I don't want them to be like, well, we didn't call him up because he wasn't hitting. None of that BS. Like, you're sending them down there to work on his defense, so let him work on his defense. He's proven that he can hit major league hitting at least for a couple of weeks, and I know that's not forever. But I feel like all three of these dudes, Ramos, Matos, and Luciano, have all done what they're doing for longer than Casey Schmidt did his thing. But maybe I'm wrong.
Well, and the difference from what we recall is that those three that you just mentioned have a really good understanding of the strike zone. They don't chase.
Unlike Schmidt.
Yeah, Schmidt was just swinging at everything. So I think that's why we saw a huge drop off.
And I will say that's what people said, that Luciano, like, that is the big major step forward that he had. I did finally see somebody reference his games in winter ball, by the way. So listeners, okay. I don't know if you know this, but Matthew and I, especially me, were just like ranting and raving about Luciano's winter ball stats that nobody anywhere wanted to acknowledge existed. He played in 18 games, and still nobody denies this. I think he was cut by his winter ball team, Matthew. I think he was cut by his winter ball team. Or the Giants saw what he was doing and said it was so bad they pulled the plug on it. But he said what he learned there is that, he's got to wait for them to throw him his pitch, right? Like, he can't let, he's got to swing at balls that are strikes, basically. It wasn't that simple, but that's the way my addled, sick brain remembers it. But anyway, point is that that's an adjustment that he's made recently. So the last thing that he's got to put together is, I think, just concentrating on the ball in the moment, And, so let him go do that. And then Nick Ahmed is your starting first shortstop. And that other guy is there.
Interesting side fact is that Marco Luciano has yet to hit his first major league home run.
I mean, he really hasn't. How many at-bats has he had?
He says in his career, like 60-something at-bats.
Okay.
So anyway, I mean, just an interesting fact. No, I don't think that really matters, but it's interesting because I think he has the power, but we haven't seen it at the major league level yet.
No, he's hit a lot of rockets, I think. This is easy stuff to check. Just go look on Baseball Savant and see what his X velocity is.
Yeah. All right. We need to get going to the next one, though, Ben. So you're choosing. So we both agree that Luciano is the name, even if you don't want to admit it. All right. And Giants fans may not admit it. They may not want Nick Ahmed, but Nick Ahmed is the answer because he's out of options, and it messes with your depth if you're going to cut Nick Ahmed. And if Luciano was fielding, then it's a bigger argument to where maybe Nick Ahmed is either DFA'd or he becomes the backup to Luciano.
That's the answer I really want. The answer I want
but he hasn't shown that yet. He didn't he had the opportunity and hasn't really.
Right. The answer, I want the argument to be, can Ahmed be your backup second baseman and he's the better option than Brett Wisely? That's what I want the argument to be.
Right. Yeah.
But that's just, Luciano's not ready yet. He needs to go back to AAA and work on his defense constantly.
Yeah, because then, maybe at some point that he isn't the shortstop that, all the pundits say he shouldn't be. So we'll find out. Okay, so next one, though, the shortstop is not the only position that's getting to be a logjam. We've got a lot of outfielders, even with Jung-Hoo Lee being out for the season. We've got Slater and Conforto coming back. Now we know like Ryan McKenna is probably going to be the first guy.
Yeah, he's the obvious guy out. But
let's say Conforto comes back first, and I have no idea what the order is going to be. But let's say Conforto comes back first, and that's an easy call. Ryan McKenna's gone. Then Slater comes back. Who are you sending down to the minors, or who are you getting rid of? Ben, between Slater, I guess Slater would be an option, as well as Ramos and Matos. Who are you? Because Yaz. I guess Yaz could be the other option there. Who are you sending down?
Who am I sending? Look, I am not a Slater hater. I'm not. Never have been, I think.
Well, really no reason to be. He's been one of the best at his role.
Right. Well, no, but what I'm saying is there's a lot of players out, there's a lot of fans out there who really don't like Austin Slater. They hate him. They don't understand why he's on the roster, blah, blah, blah. But I am not one of those people. But given the way that Matos and Ramos have played for the entire extended period that they've been here, like, we cannot have a situation where you send all three of these guys down. They were the match that started the fire. You cannot end up in a situation where they're all back in Sacramento, where you sent a third of your lineup back away. Like, that would just be mind-bogglingly stupid.
Okay.
Austin Slater has to go. Austin Slater has to go.
Oh, you're saying Slater, huh? Okay.
Slater go. Who else is going to go?
Ramos. It's not going to be Matos because Matos playing center field. And Matos is a right-handed bat. Ramos, rather, is a right-handed bat.
Slater has to go.
Slater is a right-handed bat. It's one of those two, for sure.
Slater has to go.
Again, I'm going back to the depth thing.
Nope, Slater has to go. What are you talking about? Depth thing. What are you talking about? Like, you're acting like Ramos and Matos are not real human beings who can't swing the baseball bat.
No, I think they can, but so can Slater when he's right.
But it hasn't been right all year.
Yeah, some would argue small sample size. But his track record has been that he's been very good against left-handed pitching and a very solid defender.
I cannot imagine this team with only one of those three on it playing occasionally. Watch it, and the team will start losing. I guarantee you.
And that is the point, right? Because I think that they're certainly the winning started when we had these three come onto the scene. And some may say coincidence. Some may say that, it's just a short spark like we've seen in the past with like maybe Casey Schmidt last year. But I don't know. And I think at some point, especially with someone like Ramos, who this is his last year before he's out of options, I think, you want to see a guy play in the majors for as long as you can, because he could be Slater next year, right? He could be the new Slater. And why not start that clock this year? So I feel like I agree with you, but I just don't know if that's going to be the call.
I think they'll probably give Slater I think Slater's going to get a very long leash. And so I think you're probably right. But that means you could be in a situation where the only young players on the team are Luis Matos and Brett Wisely.
Yeah. I guess we don't consider Patrick Bailey
No. If you started the season with the Giants and you were a sure thing, no, you're not a young player. I mean, you're young, but you know what I mean.
I know. One of the rookie guys. Yeah.
Yeah, like one of the new guys, like that, and that. Like, I think I'm sitting here just trying to think about that. Luis, after everything we've been through in the last month, and I sit here and think, okay, after everything settles, it's Brett Wisely and Luis Matos. I'm angry. That makes me angry.
Yeah, well, I guess it begs the question: would you rather maybe have? Let's just say, would you rather lose with the new young guys than with the old guys? I mean, it's.
Well, I don't see that.
You think it gives us a better chance of winning?
Yeah, I think it gives us a better chance of winning or equal chance of winning.
Okay, I guess that's the question.
I
So
do not think this is a better team.
Guys.
I don't I think what I'm inherently saying is I don't think this is a better team with Slater and Conforto than it is with Matos and Ramos.
Okay.
I don't think it's a better team. So,
all right.
And that's, again, small sample size, right? This very much could be, again, the Casey Schmidt situation. So, time will tell. Here's my problem, though, is that you pull the young guys back and then you throw them back into AAA, and they're proving nothing to you because no matter what they do in AAA, that won't prove it to you. And the only potential is that they go cold in AAA, and then you'll use that as an excuse to not bring them back. And the thing is, baseball is such a fickle sport that going cold in AAA doesn't mean that you're not good enough to hit at the major league level. And so it just, you'll use these small sample sizes to reinforce your bias, and you'll keep the young guys down, and you'll keep these old, resurfaced tires at the major league level, and you'll waste a year of major league development for guys who are probably going to get better here than they are down there. And it just feels like the worst of all possible scenarios.
Okay. Final roster spot situation here. Keaton Winn. He's eligible to come off the injured list in 3 or 4 days. We just signed Drew Pomeranz, old friend Drew Pomeranz, who then we traded after he had 4 really good relief appearances. We traded to the Brewers for Mauricio Dubon.
That's right,
which
Great
is how
trade.
I remember him mostly. Yeah, and then he actually had some really good. He had a really good finish to that season with Milwaukee, and then he signed somewhere else and had another good year. And then injuries have kind of been the problem since. Hasn't pitched in the majors since 2021, but this year was kind of dominating in AAA to the tune of 14 strikeouts and 1 walk. And so Keaton Winn versus Pomeranz or Rodriguez. Who are you picking? Who's the guy that's going to be sent off when Keaton Winn's ready to come back?
Rodriguez should stay.
Absolutely.
I don't even know why Drew Pomeranz is here right now. You have 9 relievers and 4, I guess he figures he could go back to AAA, and that's why he signed on to the Giants for a couple games. I don't understand what's going on here. This makes no sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, he signed a major league contract, so I don't know. It doesn't mean that he can't get DFA'd again.
Correct.
He would have to. He would have to get put through waivers, and so maybe some other team would claim him. So maybe the Giants just wanted him for a week.
Could be that because they know they can't run with 9 relievers.
Yeah, and so they haven't used him yet.
Right.
So
when Winn comes back, you got to keep Rodriguez.
All right. Well, we'll see how that shakes out within the next few days.
Yep.
All right, Ben. Well, I think that closes it up. I think I'm going to answer today's trivia question. The trivia question, if you recall, was how many walk-off hits has Tyler Rogers allowed in his Giants career? The answer is 7. Tyler Rogers allowed 7 walk-off hits since 2021. Rogers, in his Giants career, has had 26 save opportunities and has only converted 12 out of those 26. Now, granted, he's 12-4 when he's at the end of the game, whether in the 9th inning or later. So he's including 12-4, including Sunday's game. So the other 10 blown saves were in innings 7 or 8 because you can go into the game in the 7th or 8th with a save opportunity.
Right. When you get a blown save if you fail, but then you get taken out of the game, so you don't get a save. So this is a completely misleading stat. Matthew is trying to sandbag Tyler Rogers with this stat. Do not listen to him and buy this crap. This is just Matthew and sour grapes. This is how numbers can lie.
It is. I did as I was putting the answers into the answer thing. I was feeling a little bit guilty for laying it on Tyler after you see the numbers because you dig down deep. He's actually been pretty good.
Good. He's one of the best.
Yeah, 12-4 in game-ending opportunities. So not too bad. All right, looking ahead, Ben, we got the Phillies. The last time we saw the Phillies, we got our butts handed to us. They swept us in a 4-game series.
Well, they played like they were the best team in baseball, which they were, and we played like we were one of the 5 worst baseball teams in baseball, which we were.
Yeah. Since that sweep, though, the Giants have gone 12-6, and the Phillies have gone, I should have looked this up, 12-5, or 13-4. I didn't check to see what they did on Sunday, but they have also played very well. And so they're coming in hot, just like the Giants are. We got them at home though, so let's hope that the Giants can at least put up a little bit bigger of a fight than they did in Philadelphia.
The Phillies lost to the Rockies today.
All right, so 12-5, and the Giants are 12-6 since that sweep. So both teams coming in hot. Probables for Game 1: Blake Snell against Taijuan Walker. And when I hear that name, I feel like that's just like he's been pitching well, but the guy's been around for so long. I'm like, isn't age going to catch up to this dude or something? Like, so hopefully we can maybe win 2 out of 3. Because I feel like Kyle Harrison against Christopher Sanchez on Game 3 is also a winnable one. We got to be determined against Zach Wheeler on Saturday. So, or no, I'm getting my days mixed up, on Tuesday.
Yeah, to be determined. That's either a bullpen game or that's Keaton Wynn's spot. Or a Mason Black featured game. Who knows?
Yeah, Mason Black was already sent down.
Oh,
so
that's right. But you can't.
I don't think send him back up.
Well,
bring him back up unless there's an injury.
Unless there's an injury, right?
Well, so we'll probably be a bullpen game. That's what maybe that'll be the day we see Drew Pomeranz.
Yeah.
All right, so that's all we got today, Ben. Folks, thanks for listening to us, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already, and follow us on the socials, the platform formerly known as Twitter and Instagram and Threads and Mastodon. You can find us at Giant Cocktails. We post our recipes, and during games, we have a little fun on the old Twitter, so please give us a follow. Ben, it's been great chatting with you. Until next time, cheers, my friend.
Cheers, Matthew. Bye, everybody. This is Ken Alexander signing off.
Goodbye, Ken and folks.
Thank you for listening to the Giant Cocktails Podcast. Until next time, bottoms up.
Yeah, it's me. It's me, Ken Alexander. Hello, ladies. And other people who are into guys named Ken. Hello to you, too.
He's going to be spinning the oldies for you all night long on KZST.
Are you having a night alone? Well, I'm here to make sure it's not a lonely night. It's me, Ken Alexander, spinning hot romantic tracks to keep you on track towards a night of easy listening. Anyway.
Right. Yes. Anyway.